My son got kicked out of traffic court for speaking out of turn, and I couldn't stop smiling. The officer was lying about the accident. My son stood up and said, "Your Honor, I have dashcam footage that proves he's committing perjury." The officer was arrested 20 minutes later. The bailiff grabbed Officer Simmons by the arm, and the whole courtroom went silent. Not quiet, silent. The kind of silence where you can hear the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, where 50 strangers collectively hold their breath because they're watching something they'll tell their families about at dinner tonight. Simmons was still in his dress uniform, medals gleaming, 15 years of service pinned to his chest like armor. He'd walked into this courtroom like he owned it, nodding at the judge, smiling at the prosecutor, radiating the kind of confidence that comes from never being told no. Now he was being handcuffed in front of everyone he'd ever tried to impress. And my son Tyler was standing 10 feet away, phone still in his hand, watching with an expression I'd never seen on his face before. Not triumph, not satisfaction, just calm. The calm of someone who knew exactly how this was going to end before he ever walked through those doors. I'm going to tell you how we got here, how a routine fender bender turned into the worst 6 months of our lives, how a cop with a badge and a grudge tried to destroy my kid's future over a dented bumper, and how my quiet, awkward instruction manual reading son took him apart piece by piece without ever raising his voice. Tyler was 19 when it happened, sophomore at State, studying mechanical engineering, the kind of kid who color-coded his notes and actually enjoyed doing problem sets. He'd been on the dean's list both semesters, worked part-time at a tutoring center, and had never gotten so much as a parking ticket in his life. He was also, and I say this with love, kind of a nerd, not the stereotypical kind. He wasn't socially awkward or bad at talking to people. He just noticed things, details, patterns, the kind of stuff most people's brains filter out as background noise. Tyler absorbed and filed away like it might be important later. When he was 12, he memorized the entire service manual for our Honda Civic because he wanted to understand how the engine worked. When he was 15, he taught himself to code so he could build a program that tracked his sleep patterns. When he got his driver's license at 16, he spent 3 hours researching dash cams before settling on a Vantrue N4 with front, inside, and rear cameras, 4K resolution, and GPS logging. "It's for insurance purposes," he told me when I asked why he needed a $400 camera setup. "If anything ever happens, I want documentation." I remember laughing. "What's going to happen? You drive like a grandmother." He just shrugged. "You never know." 3 years later, that camera would save his future. The accident happened on a Tuesday evening in March. Tyler was driving home from his evening class, stopped at the red light on Miller Road and Oakwood, one of those intersections with a long light cycle where you end up sitting for 2-3 minutes sometimes. He was completely stopped, foot on the brake, car in neutral, probably thinking about whatever problem set was due that week. Then, a silver Ford F-150 slammed into his rear bumper at approximately 35 miles per hour. Tyler's head snapped back against the headrest. His phone flew off the passenger seat. The impact was hard enough to push his Civic forward 6 feet, even with his foot on the brake. For a few seconds, he just sat there, stunned, trying to process what had just happened. Then he did exactly what I'd taught him to do. He put on his hazards, checked himself for injuries, took 3 deep breaths, and got out of the car to exchange information with the other driver. What happened next still makes my blood pressure spike when I think about it. The other driver was already out of his truck. Big guy, 6'2", maybe 220, buzz cut, the kind of build that says former high school linebacker who never stopped lifting. He was wearing jeans and a polo shirt, but Tyler noticed the service weapon holstered at his hip before he noticed anything else. "What the hell is wrong with you?" the man shouted, storming toward Tyler's car. "You stopped short. You trying to cause an accident?" Tyler blinked. He'd been stopped at a red light for at least 10 seconds before impact. There was no possible way this was his fault. The physics didn't even make sense. You can't stop short when you're already stationary. "Sir, the light was red," Tyler said, keeping his voice calm. "I was completely stopped. Are you okay? Do you need me to call?" "Don't tell me what color the light was." The man jabbed a finger in Tyler's face. "I know what I saw. You cut me off and slammed your brakes. That's not what happened." The man stepped closer, close enough that Tyler could smell the coffee on his breath. "You know who I am, kid?" Tyler didn't answer. "I'm Officer Dean Simmons, 15 years with Metro PD. He smiled. Not a friendly smile. The kind of smile that says, "I'm about to enjoy this." "Who do you think they're gonna believe? Some college punk? Or a decorated officer of the law?" Tyler's heart was pounding now. He told me later that every instinct was screaming at him to apologize, to back down, to do whatever it took to make this angry man with a gun go away. Instead, he pulled out his phone. "I'm going to take some photos of the damage for insurance purposes," he said quietly, "and I'm going to need your badge number." Simmons laughed. "Go ahead, kid. Take your little pictures. Document whatever you want." He leaned in close. "Won't matter. I'm gonna bury you." Tyler took the photos. He wrote down the badge number. He didn't say another word until the police arrived to take the accident report. But what Simmons didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that the entire conversation had been recorded. Front camera, rear camera, audio, every threat, every lie, every word, saved to the cloud before before Simmons even got back in his truck. I didn't find out about the accident until Tyler got home that night. He walked through the door around 8 p.m., and I could tell immediately something was wrong. He was pale, quiet, moving carefully, like his neck hurt. What happened? He told me. The accident, the cop, the threats. I felt my hands start to shake. He said, "What to you? It doesn't matter. Mom, I have it all on video. Tyler, this guy is a police officer. He threatened you. We need to report this. We need to—" I know. He held up his hand. "I'm handling it." "What does that mean?" He just shook his head. Trust me. I didn't understand what he was planning. Not then. But I'd raised this kid for 19 years, and I'd learned that when Tyler said he was handling something, he meant it. So I let it go. That was my first mistake. 3 days later, the citation arrived. I was the one who checked the mail, saw the envelope from the municipal court, opened it without thinking. Then I read the charges. Reckless driving, failure to yield right-of-way, causing an accident resulting in bodily injury. Simmons was claiming he'd been hurt. The fine was $1,200. The points on Tyler's license would be enough to suspend it for 6 months. His insurance rates would triple, maybe quadruple. If he was convicted, it would show up on background checks for the next 7 years. One accident, one lying cop, and my son's entire future was on the line. I was shaking when Tyler got home. "Have you seen this?" He took the citation from my hand, read it. His expression didn't change. "Yeah, I figured he'd do something like this." "Tyler, this is serious. These charges, if you're convicted, I won't be. You don't know that. He's a cop, Tyler. They believe cops. That's how this works." He looked at me with those calm, steady eyes. "Mom, I have a dash cam. I know you have a dash cam, but no, listen." He sat down across from me at the kitchen table. "I have footage of the entire accident. I have footage of him threatening me. I have his badge number, his license plate, and the exact time and GPS coordinates of the collision. I've already uploaded everything to 3 different cloud services and backed it up on 2 external drives." I stared at him. "I also spent the last 3 days researching Officer Dean Simmons." "Researching him?" Tyler pulled out his laptop, opened a folder. "He's been in 5 accidents over the last 3 years. Every single one was ruled the other driver's fault. I found public court records for 2 of them." He turned the screen toward me. "Docket numbers, case summaries, outcomes. This guy," Tyler pointed at a name, "Marcus Webb, got rear-ended by Simmons 2 years ago. Simmons claimed Webb changed lanes without signaling. No witnesses. Webb's insurance had to pay out, and he lost his license for 6 months." He scrolled down. "This one is Sandra Okonkwo. Single mom, 2 kids. Simmons T-boned her at an intersection, claimed she ran the red. His word against hers. Her insurance rates went up 300%. She had to sell her car." I felt sick. "He's done this before. At least 5 times that I can find. Probably more." Tyler closed the laptop. "He's a predator, Mom. He causes accidents, then uses his badge to escape consequences and destroy the other drivers. He's been doing it for years, and nobody's ever stopped him. Until now." Tyler didn't smile, didn't gloat, just nodded once. "Until now." The next 2 months were hell. Not because of what Simmons did, although he did plenty. It was the waiting, the uncertainty, the slow, grinding bureaucracy of a system that had never been designed to protect people like us from people like him. Tyler hired a lawyer named Patricia Huang, a former prosecutor who now specialized in defending against police misconduct. She was 46, had 15 years of courtroom experience, and had a reputation for being absolutely ruthless when she believed in a case. She believed in this one. "I've seen this pattern before," she told us in her first meeting with Tyler. "Officers who abuse their position to avoid accountability. They get away with it because most people don't have evidence. Most people don't fight back." She looked at Tyler. "You have evidence, and you're fighting back. What are our chances? Honestly, if this were just your word against his, I'd say 50-50 at best. But with that dash cam footage," she smiled, "he's done." Except it wasn't that simple. 3 weeks before the trial, Tyler started getting phone calls. Unknown numbers. No voicemail. Sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. Then the hang-ups started. Someone would call, wait for Tyler to say hello, then disconnect without a word. Then the car showed up. A black SUV with tinted windows parked across the street from our house at 11 p.m. on a Wednesday night. Tyler noticed it when he got home from the library. It sat there for 3 hours before finally pulling away. The next morning, he found a note on his windshield. "Drop the case. Last warning. No signature. Block letters. Cheap white paper." Tyler photographed it, bagged it, brought it to Patricia. "Can we trace this?" She shook her head. "Probably not. No prints, no distinctive handwriting, nothing to tie it to Simmons directly. But we know it was him. Knowing and proving are 2 different things." She paused. "How do you feel about a restraining order? Would it stop him?" "Probably not, but it would create a paper trail. If anything happens to you after a documented pattern of harassment." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Tyler filed the restraining order the next day. Simmons contested it, denied everything. His lawyer, a department-provided attorney named Richard Greer, who looked like he'd been doing this for decades, argued that Tyler was making false allegations to strengthen his court case. The judge denied the restraining order. "Insufficient evidence of a credible threat," the ruling said. Tyler didn't argue, didn't appeal, just nodded and walked out of the courtroom. "He's going to do something," I said in the parking lot. "You know he is. He's not going to let this go." "I know. So what do we do?" Tyler looked at me. "We show up up on March 15th with every piece of evidence I've collected. We put it in front of a judge, and we let the truth speak for itself. I wanted to believe him, but I'd seen the way Simmons operated, the connections, the confidence, the way the system bent around him like he had his own gravitational field. For the first time, I started to think we might lose. The week before trial, Patricia called with bad news. The prosecutor's office contacted me. They're offering a plea deal. What kind of deal? Tyler pleads to a lesser charge. Improper lane change. $400 fine, no points on his license, no record of reckless driving. Case closed. I felt a flicker of hope. That doesn't sound terrible. It's not. Patricia's voice was careful. But it also means admitting fault, which means Simmons's version of events goes on record as true, which means if Tyler ever tries to pursue a civil suit or misconduct complaint, Simmons can point to this plea and say Tyler admitted he was wrong. So it's a trap. It's an escape hatch that benefits Simmons more than Tyler, yes. I looked at my son. He was sitting at the kitchen table with his laptop open, scrolling through something I couldn't see. He'd been doing that a lot lately, researching, planning, preparing, building his case like he was constructing a bridge, one piece at a time. What do you want to do? I asked. He closed the laptop. We go to trial. Tyler, if we lose, we won't. You can't know that. He looked at me, really looked at me, with those steady eyes that had always seen more than anyone expected. Mom, I have watched him lie to cops, lie to lawyers, lie to a judge. He's going to walk into that courtroom thinking he can lie his way out of this too. He shook his head slowly. He can't, because I have the truth. On video, time-stamped, GPS verified, backed up in 6 different places. What if the judge doesn't watch it? What if they believe him anyway? Tyler smiled. Then I'll make them watch it. March 15th, traffic court. I'd never been to traffic court before. Turns out it's exactly as depressing as you'd imagine. A beige room with hard wooden benches, fluorescent lighting that makes everyone look sick, and a general atmosphere of resigned misery. There were about 50 people crammed into the gallery when we arrived. Most of them looked like they just wanted to pay their fine and leave. A few were arguing with their lawyers in hushed voices. Nobody looked happy to be there. Tyler and I sat in the 3rd row. Patricia was at the defendant's table, organizing her files, and then Simmons walked in. He was wearing his dress uniform, full medals, polished shoes. He moved through the courtroom like he was walking a red carpet, nodding at the bailiff, smiling at the court clerk, even giving a little wave to the prosecutor. Assistant DA Michael Torres, a tired-looking man in his 50s who clearly had too many cases and not enough time. Simmons sat in the front row, directly in our line of sight. He didn't look at us, didn't acknowledge we existed, just sat there, radiating confidence. Tyler's case was number 47 on the docket. We waded through speeding tickets, parking violations, red light camera disputes. Each case took 3 to 5 minutes. The judge, Honorable Catherine Reeves, 22 years on the bench, processed them with efficient detachment. Guilty, guilty, fine reduced, dismissed, guilty. Then, docket 4471, State versus Tyler Matthews, reckless driving, failure to yield, causing an accident with injuries. Tyler stood up. How does the defendant plead? Not guilty, Your Honor. Judge Reeves made a note. The state may call its witness. Prosecutor Torres stood. The state calls Officer Dean Simmons, and here we go. Simmons walked to the witness stand like he was accepting an award. He raised his right hand, swore to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Then he opened his mouth and started lying. On the evening of March 7th, I was driving eastbound on Miller Road at approximately 30 miles per hour. His voice was calm, professional, rehearsed. The defendant's vehicle was in the left lane ahead of me. Without signaling, he changed lanes directly into my path and braked suddenly. He paused. Let that sink in. I attempted to stop, but was unable to avoid the collision. The impact caused significant damage to my vehicle and resulted in injuries to my neck and upper back. Torres nodded. Can you describe these injuries? I've been undergoing physical therapy for the past 6 weeks. The doctors say I may need another 3 months of treatment before I'm fully recovered. He touched his neck gingerly. Some days, the pain is severe enough that I can't work. I watched the judge's face. She was writing notes, nodding slightly, buying it. Torres continued. And after the accident, what was the defendant's demeanor? Aggressive, hostile. He immediately began accusing me of being at fault, despite the fact that his reckless lane change caused the collision. When I identified myself as a police officer, he became even more belligerent. Objection, Patricia said. Characterization. Sustained. Officer Simmons, please stick to observable facts. Simmons nodded contritely. Of course, Your Honor. I apologize. But he'd planted the seed. Aggressive, hostile, belligerent. He kept going. I've been a member of Metro PD for 15 years. I've never been in an at-fault accident. I've never had a complaint filed against me that was sustained. He looked directly at Tyler. This young man almost killed me with his reckless driving, and now he's trying to avoid accountability by making false accusations. Torres thanked him. Patricia stood for cross-examination. Officer Simmons, you said you were traveling at 30 miles per hour? Approximately, yes. And Mr. Matthews changed lanes into your path and braked suddenly? That's correct. You're certain of this? Absolutely certain. Patricia nodded slowly. Your Honor, I'd like to submit Defense Exhibit A, dashcam footage from my client's vehicle, time-stamped March 7th at 6:40 8:47 p.m. Torres stood. Objection. Counsel is attempting to introduce evidence during cross-examination. Your Honor, the witness has made specific factual claims about the circumstances of the accident. This footage directly contradicts those claims. I believe it's appropriate to confront the witness with this evidence. Judge Reeves considered. I'll allow it. Proceed. Patricia connected her laptop to the courtroom's display system. I'm going to play a 90-second clip, Your Honor. It begins approximately 30 seconds before the collision. She pressed play. The footage was crystal clear. Tyler's car, stationary, red light visible through the windshield. For 10 seconds, nothing happened. The car didn't move. The light stayed red. Then, in the rear camera view, Simmons's F-150 appeared, moving fast, way faster than 30 miles per hour. It didn't slow down. It plowed directly into Tyler's bumper with enough force to push the Civic forward 6 feet. The courtroom was dead silent. Then the audio kicked in. Simmons's voice screaming, "What the hell is wrong with you? You stopped short!" Tyler's voice calm. "Sir, the light was red. I was completely stopped." Simmons, "Don't tell me what color the light was." And then the line that changed everything. "You know who I am, kid? I'm Officer Dean Simmons, 15 years with Metro PD. Who do you think they're gonna believe?" A gasp rippled through the gallery. "I'm gonna bury you." Patricia paused the video. "Officer Simmons, you testified under oath that my client changed lanes into your path and braked suddenly. This footage shows him stationary at a red light for over 10 seconds before you struck his vehicle." Simmons's face had gone gray. There must be some issue with the timestamp, or the angle. The footage includes GPS coordinates, officer. I've had it verified by 2 independent forensic video analysts. Would you like me to call them as witnesses? That video has been edited. It has not. Patricia's voice was ice. "But I'm sure the state's forensic lab can confirm that. Shall we request an analysis?" Simmons looked at Torres. Torres was staring at the floor. Judge Reeves spoke. "Officer Simmons, you testified under oath that Mr. Matthews caused this accident through reckless driving. This video appears to show you rear-ending a stationary vehicle and then threatening the driver. Your Honor, I may have misremembered some details." "Misremembered?" She held up her hand. "You testified with absolute certainty. Changed lanes without signaling. Braked suddenly. You described your injuries in detail. You accused this young man of being aggressive and hostile. It was a stressful situation. It was perjury." "Officer Simmons." The word hung in the air. "Perjury." "Bailiff, please detain Officer Simmons. I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for criminal charges." Simmons stood up fast. His chair scraped against the floor. "Your Honor, I've served this department for 15 years, and apparently you've spent a good portion of that time committing fraud." Judge Reeves's voice could have frozen water. "This court does not tolerate perjury. This court does not tolerate officers who use their badges to escape accountability for their own actions." The bailiff was moving toward Simmons now. "Your Honor, please save it for your lawyer, officer." Handcuffs came out. Simmons's eyes found Tyler across the courtroom. Pure hatred. Absolute, undisguised hatred. Tyler met his gaze and smiled. They walked Simmons out through the main door, past the judge he'd nodded to like a colleague, past the prosecutor he'd smiled at, past 50 witnesses who would never forget his face, past the kid he'd promised to bury. The courtroom erupted the moment he was gone. People talking, murmuring, some of them actually applauding. The bailiff had to call for order twice. Judge Reeves waited for silence. "Mr. Matthews, the charges against you are dismissed with prejudice. The state will not be permitted to refile." Tyler nodded. "Thank you, Your Honor." "Don't thank me." She looked at him with something like respect. "Thank whatever instinct told you to install that dash cam." Patricia was packing up her files, but she paused to shake Tyler's hand. "You know I've been doing this for 15 years. I've never seen anything like that." "Neither have I," Tyler said. "That's kind of the point. The aftermath was bigger than we expected." Simmons was charged with perjury, filing a false police report, and official misconduct. His union tried to defend him, but the video was too clear, too damning. No amount of spin could explain away the words, "I'm gonna bury you," coming out of his own mouth. He took a plea deal. 18 months in county jail, loss of pension, permanent disbarment from law enforcement. But that wasn't the end of it. After the trial, Tyler got calls, emails, messages from strangers who'd seen the news coverage. I was one of his victims too. He did the same thing to me 3 years ago. I lost my license because of him. Can I still do something? Tyler spent 2 weeks compiling their stories, forwarded everything to a journalist named Maria Santos at the local paper. Her expose ran 3 weeks later. Serial fraud cop. How one officer weaponized his badge for years. The article detailed 7 confirmed cases where Simmons had caused accidents and blamed the other drivers. 7 people whose lives had been damaged, lost licenses, skyrocketing insurance rates, jobs lost because they couldn't commute. 2 of them filed civil suits. One of them was Sandra Okonkwo, the single mom Tyler had found in his research. She won $340,000 in damages, enough to buy a new car, get her kids into better schools, start over. She sent Tyler a card. "You didn't just save yourself, you saved all of us." 6 months later, I found Tyler in his room, packing for the fall semester. He'd gotten a summer internship at an engineering firm, done well, and was going back to state with new confidence and a job offer waiting for him after graduation. "You never told me," me, I said from the doorway. He looked up. Told you what? How you knew. How you knew to fight, instead of taking the plea deal. How you were so calm the whole time. He sat down on the bed. Remember when I got the dash cam? You asked what was going to happen, that I'd need it. I remember. I didn't have a good answer then. But I'd been reading about this stuff. Insurance fraud, police misconduct, people who get railroaded because they don't have proof. And I thought, if it ever happened to me, I wanted to be ready. He shrugged. I never expected it to actually happen. But when it did, I just did what I'd planned. Documented everything. Researched everything. Built the case piece by piece. Weren't you scared? Terrified, he admitted. Every single day. But being scared doesn't mean you can't be prepared. I crossed the room and hugged him. I'm proud of you. You know that, right? I know. Not just for winning, for not backing down, for being the kind of person who fights even when it's hard. He hugged me back. I learned it from you. Last month, I was cleaning out the garage and found the folder. The one Tyler had built during those terrible 6 months. Court records, research printouts, timeline documents, backup drives. I almost threw it away. Then I stopped, opened it. Right on top was the note from Simmons's windshield warning. Drop the case. Last warning. And underneath it, in Tyler's neat handwriting, a sticky note. No, I laughed out loud. Then I put the folder back on the shelf. Some things are worth keeping.